Imagine walking through a place in a dream. Maybe it is a house, but the house does not feel like an ordinary house. The hallway seems longer than it should be. The rooms feel strangely important. A staircase leads somewhere you cannot quite see. You may not know why, but the place feels symbolic, almost as if the environment itself is trying to represent something. Many people experience places like this in dreams, memories, imagination, or even storytelling. A forest that represents uncertainty. A dark room that feels like hidden thoughts. A long road that suggests a journey through life. These environments seem to carry meaning beyond their physical structure. But where does that meaning come from? Are symbolic environments messages from the subconscious? Are they cultural interpretations? Or are they simply the result of how the human brain organizes experience? Today we will explore what modern psychology and cognitive science say about symbolic environments. We will examine how the brain builds mental environments, why humans attach meaning to spaces, how memory and emotion shape symbolic places, why dreams often transform environments into symbols, how storytelling and culture reinforce spatial symbolism. The goal is not to claim that environments always have hidden meanings. Instead, we will explore why the human mind often interprets environments symbolically, because the way we understand places reveals something profound about how the mind understands the world. Humans think in spaces. One of the most fundamental characteristics of human cognition is spatial thinking. Long before writing or complex language existed, humans navigated landscapes. They had to remember where water was located, where food could be found, where danger might appear. This required the brain to build internal maps of environments. Modern neuroscience shows that the brain contains specialized systems for spatial representation. One of the most important brain structures involved in this process is the hippocampus. Inside this structure are neurons known as place cells. These cells activate when a person or animal occupies a specific position in space. Another group of neurons, called grid cells, help create a coordinate system for navigation. Together, these cells allow the brain to construct what scientists call cognitive maps. These maps are not only used for navigation in the physical world, they can also represent abstract relationships. In other words, the brain can use spatial structure to organize ideas. This ability may be one of the reasons environments often become symbolic. The brain uses metaphors to understand abstract ideas. Psychological research shows that humans frequently understand abstract concepts through metaphors. For example, people often talk about life as if it were a journey. They say things like, "I'm at a crossroads. I feel stuck. I'm moving forward." Notice how these expressions describe life using spatial terms. Psychologists studying conceptual metaphor theory have found that spatial language is deeply embedded in human thought. Abstract ideas such as time, emotion, and personal growth are often mapped onto physical environments. Upward movement is associated with success. Dark spaces are associated with fear or uncertainty. Open landscapes suggest freedom because the brain naturally organizes ideas spatially. Environments can easily become symbolic representations of psychological states. Why dream environments become symbolic? Dreams often amplify symbolic environments. During sleep, the brain enters a state where logical control is reduced while emotional and associative processing increases. Research shows that during REM sleep, emotional brain regions such as the amygdala become highly active. At the same time, areas involved in rational control, such as parts of the prefrontal cortex, become less active. This combination allows the brain to form unusual associations. Memories, emotions, and spatial imagery can combine in creative ways. As a result, environments in dreams may represent emotional themes rather than physical locations. For example, a maze-like building might reflect confusion. An endless road might represent a sense of searching. A locked room might symbolize something hidden or unresolved. However, it is important to understand that these interpretations are not universal rules. Dream symbolism is often highly personal. The same environment can mean different things to different people. Memory and emotion shape environmental meaning. Another reason environments become symbolic is that memories are strongly tied to places. Psychologists call this context-dependent memory. Experiences are often stored together with the environment where they occurred. For example, a childhood home may carry strong emotional associations. A classroom might trigger memories of learning or anxiety. A hospital environment may evoke memories of illness or recovery. Over time, these associations can become symbolic. The environment becomes more than just a location. It becomes a container for emotional meaning. In dreams and imagination, the brain may recreate environments that represent those emotional associations. The role of the subconscious. Many psychological theories suggest that symbolic environments may emerge from unconscious processes. One influential figure in this area was Carl Jung. Jung believed that the human mind contains universal patterns called archetypes. According to Jung, certain symbolic environments appear across cultures. For example, caves may represent the unknown. Mountains may symbolize transformation or challenge. Water may symbolize emotional depth. However, modern psychology approaches these ideas cautiously. While recurring symbols do appear in many stories and dreams, their meanings are not always universal. Cultural context, personal experience, and individual psychology all influence interpretation. So, rather than assuming fixed meanings, many researchers view symbolic environments as flexible mental constructions shaped by experience, storytelling, and symbolic places. Symbolic environments are also common in storytelling. Writers and filmmakers frequently use locations to represent psychological themes. For example, a dark forest may symbolize danger or uncertainty. A tower may symbolize isolation. A journey across a desert may represent personal struggle. These symbolic environments help audiences understand emotional themes visually, because humans naturally associate spatial environments with meaning. These storytelling techniques are very effective. They mirror the same processes the brain uses when constructing symbolic environments in dreams and imagination. The brain's pattern-seeking nature. Humans are natural pattern seekers. The brain constantly tries to interpret experiences and assign meaning to them. This tendency helped our ancestors survive. Recognizing patterns in nature could reveal where food was located or where predators might appear. But this same pattern-seeking tendency can also lead the mind to interpret environments symbolically. Sometimes meaning is truly connected to experience. Other times the brain may simply be constructing meaning where none intentionally exists. This does not mean the experience is meaningless. It simply means the interpretation comes from the mind rather than the environment itself. Why symbolic environments feel so real? Symbolic environments often feel powerful because they combine multiple layers of cognition, spatial memory, emotional processing, imagination, cultural associations. When these systems interact, the result can feel deeply meaningful. even if the environment itself was constructed internally. This is why symbolic dream locations can feel memorable long after waking. The environment becomes a visual representation of internal experience. Modern cognitive science does not view symbolic environments as mystical messages. Instead, they are seen as the result of how the brain organizes information. The brain builds internal models of the world. These models integrate perception, memory, emotion, and imagination. Because spatial representation is such a powerful organizational system, environments often become containers for meaning. In dreams and imagination, the brain may freely reshape these environments to explore emotional or cognitive themes. Conclusion: why the mind creates symbolic places. Symbolic environments reveal something important about human cognition. The brain does not simply record reality, it interprets it. It organizes experience using space, metaphor, and emotion. When environments appear symbolic, it is often because the mind is using spatial imagery to represent internal ideas. These environments are not necessarily messages from outside the mind. They are reflections of how the brain connects experience, memory, and meaning. Understanding this process helps explain why certain places in dreams, memories, or stories can feel so significant. Because sometimes the spaces we see are not just landscapes, they are maps of the mind itself.